All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful weekend. We got an exciting week ahead with the CPI. Last week was a wild start to the month, 100 points down, 100 points up. But now this week and next week, all of the data that we get, it is going to determine whether or not stocks go crazy in March, because there is a tendency to do so. So before I get into anything, I want to start off with a couple of fun facts. The first one, this 25% rally that we have experienced in the last 5 months, this has only happened 9 other times since 1930. So that's that whole 17 of 19 weeks. Last week was another green week. It was absolutely insane. But now the other thing I wanted to mention, it's actually your third key of the day today. March 10th, 2000, the NASDAQ bubble peaked. March 9th, 2020, the 10-year Treasury hit an all-time low. March 9th, 2023, SVB collapsed. This time in March, we usually get an event or something goes crazy, or like 2021 and 2022, nothing happened. So if you haven't noticed, we are already past this day. We're going to see what happens on Monday, but this is what I'm saying. For this whole week in the data, all eyes are on March. March is usually positive. Usually there is some events here, and if there's not an event, it is usually ended up being very good. So we're going to find out where things take us. We're wrapping up earnings. We do get a lot of big data today, but it should be a wild one, and after last week, we have a lot on our plate. So we'll go over what happened on Friday and all of that good stuff. I got the keys for you. I got the plays. What I need from you, a thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open, youtube.com/The Stock Market. We will see you there in the morning, baby. Run it.
Walking to the couch, it's the 2020 election. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a live, but I still reinvest it. Feel how I feel, then you feel it's a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
But right off the bat, don't forget about the random account generator. Post a random option trade in the comments. Keep it below 100, but if you don't know what happened on Friday, it was the long-awaited jobs report. It actually came in hotter than expected. However, the unemployment rate went up. People saw that as bullish, and then the employment factor, or the wages, that went up, but not as high as it could have, or as high as people were expecting. They took that as good. The market went up, and then we sold off. There was also a gigantic revision from the last 2 strong beats, and that helped out a lot, but generally we hit a new high and ended up holding up after selling off. So, like I said, it was a pretty wild week, and now this week we're actually going to be getting a lot. We have Powell next week, but this week you do get the CPI. This is what everybody could have been waiting for last week, but then there is also going to be the PPI and retail sales. The best part about this week, a lot of the action starts off right away. You get the CPI on Tuesday. Wednesday is going to be a burn one. There's no data. Then Thursday, you're going to get the PPI and retail sales. And then even on Friday, you're going to get Michigan consumer sentiment. And I think one more data set, we're even going to be getting data out of China. There might even be a potential rate cut. And then I believe GDP numbers and unemployment out of the United Kingdom or the ECB, one or the other. But there's going to be a lot of data. Everybody's waiting for this data. And then right after this week, you get Powell and the SEP. So this is what I'm saying for March. Whether or not we get events, the BTFP, the lending facility just ended. There's all these things going on. We're going to find out these data sets now. This will be the set all be all. And then eventually, once that SEP comes out, if it does have a major change, we could expect the market to change majorly. Otherwise, it'll probably just keep doing what it has been doing. So watch out for that. That's the major key of this week we're going to be watching out for. Then the second thing is that earnings are actually almost done. I've been saying this for a while. Then we'll get a random set of software names and tech names, but now this week you're really only getting Adobe, Kroger, DKS, and then we will be wrapping it up. Though there will still be a lot of companies. They're not going to be the big important ones, but I guess good news, bad news, it'll be like a month and a half, and then before you know it, FedEx and Nike and a couple of other names, they're going to start reporting all over again. So keep that in mind for this week. Otherwise, it should be all around the data. I wouldn't be surprised if we move how we did last week. A lot of holding up these highs, but making these random moves, and then maybe a little bit of volatility. There will be other factors that we got to watch out for this week, and I don't know if I had that there on the first one. Yeah, watch out for the dollar. That was another one of the factors last week, but I think we might get some movement, and if the data does affect the dollar, I mean, we saw big movements out of the dollar, gold, and Bitcoin last week. I think that'll play out. Otherwise, we'll be on the lookout to see how we get into March, whether or not it closes out with anything crazy. Otherwise, it'll be about the data, and then we bring it home, and before you know it, it's the end of the quarter, the end of a month, and then it's almost summertime, and then you're halfway through 2024. But Chad, get ready, stay locked in. But now, let us get into the plays. So, right off the bat, I got a couple of different plays. We made a couple of flips on Friday. I think I closed out of the Celsius plays. That was 1,000%er from the week prior, so that was a good post-earnings play. And then I held on a couple of plays. I'm still in my gold short. I regret that one. I'm down like $1,000 on that. I'm still holding oil, and I guess that brings me to the first play here. Oil is something I'm going to be watching this week. They held up the higher levels from last week. We will be hearing stuff about war developments around this timeline. People were talking about a peace deal by March 10th. Again, this March 10th era, or this time frame, has been kind of important over the last Marches, so we'll watch out what happens. But other than that, keep an eye out for seasonality coming into an effect, and then we're still going to be watching out for an election effect. Oil has actually been up quite a bit here this year, and it's interesting considering a lot of people thought it would be calm. This will be something we'll factor into the CPI. I do have the CPI preview for you. People are expecting core to come down and headline to stay kind of solid there around 4, and that kind of makes sense here with gas prices. But all in all, oil at 80, this has been something we've been watching. It hasn't given back for a couple weeks, so like I said, watch for the break above 80 or watch for it to give up 80 and find a home near the 60s. But that is play number 1. Then play number 2. This was one I wanted on Friday. I ended up not taking it. It gapped up and then sold off. That one's TSM, but I have TSM and Micron here. Both of them had a lot of news last week. TSM had an earnings update. I believe they gave numbers. Year-over-year increase at like 11%. Micron got upgrades, and I think they got money from like a chips bill and something else I may be missing, but both of them had news, and they're both finally breaking out after not doing much and hitting, I believe, all-time highs. I think Micron's about to set a new one. MU or TSM, they just set a new 52-week high. So both of these could be good with chips. We'll see how they play out because they killed it last week on Friday and then gave up towards the literally on Friday, and everyone was like, oh, well, maybe it's time to take profits. So we'll see how they play out. Both of those are kind of expensive because they made those moves recently, but they definitely caught a lot of eyeballs last week. See if those continue. That is play number 2, and then play number 3. This one, I may want to make an option trade on it. Maybe we'll see after this week as we get closer to the ex-dividend. But Altria, I added this to the long-term last week at like 39.52. We got a great pickup when it opened up down, but they have ex-dividend on March 22nd. But now they are approaching their highs of the year. They've kind of been in the gulag a little bit. So this is kind of a breakout level, and I want to see if we get more of this broadening out or rotation that we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks. This one may be compelling, and like I'm saying with ex-dividend, maybe we will go for some of those options. So going to be keeping an eye out for Altria, any of those value plays as well if they do get any of that rotational effect. Otherwise, Those are the main plays. Keep an eye out for chips. See if they do what they did last week. Watch out for oil, even uranium. I'm still in one of those plays. They went up and then they went down. Otherwise, we're going to be playing the data. Things will be affecting the dollar all the way from the yen to the data or gold and Bitcoin. And then we'll get the data, get ready for Powell. And before you know it, Chadadonia, you will be halfway done or at least done with the quarter here. So, Chad, stay locked and loaded. Be in the game, but that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure hydrate healthy, ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. And I need you to remember what you remember. What good is the armor if you leave it at home and don't bring it to battle? Oh, my goodness. Chadadonia, I hope you had a good weekend. You can make it a good weekend by getting good rest right now. Make the most of it. Dream good. Rest good. I'll see you in the morning. Shout out to the long terms. Drink some water and horn.